Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Kayfabe. I am here with Matt Mullins, and I'm also here with Stephen P. New, and we are talking Wrestlemania. Wrestlemania is right around the corner. We're about 2 weeks away, and we are going to be seeing a lot of things that I'm kind of excited about. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, and you guys can have any opinion you'd like, but I really like the card that we're looking at right now.
I think this has the means to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Do you really think that? Is that
I do.
Really?
Not even blowing smoke.
Not
I think
cliche.
that. Nope. I've watched. This is WrestleMania 40. I've watched 39 of them, and I can't say that I'm not. I'm just so excited. I'm going to Philly, so I'm going to see firsthand what it's all about. But I think it really does have the makings to be unbelievable.
Stephen P. New, your thoughts on the card so far?
I think it's a great card. I think this WrestleMania has the potential to be, with 40 of them, you think quartiles. I definitely think this has the potential to be in the top 10 automatically. And depending on the action over the two nights, it's got the potential to move into top 5 category. But for right now, I'm only going to say, without seeing any action that night, that it's a potential top 10.
Well, let's jump right into it and start out with the 6-pack ladder match challenge. We're talking about tag teams. We've got 6 of them, and so far we know 4 of them. DIY. We've got Finn Balor and Damian Priest. You've got the New Day. You've got Miz and Truth, and then you've got 2 other slots available. Now, I think that they are. I think next week we're going to find out one of those tag teams, but I think one of them is going to be left open. Now, I remember at WrestleMania 33, I was in Orlando. I was there, and the music hit. The Hardy Boys came out, and it was gigantic. It was an amazing 6-pack ladder match at that point. Will this spot be as coveted as that spot was?
Go ahead, Steve.
I don't know. The question is, do you bring in some legends like the Hardy Boys? And the funny thing about that was the Hardy Boys just wrestled in Madison, West Virginia for Gary about a week or 2 before they were on WrestleMania. So
that's the truth.
If you think you can't go from the outhouse to the penthouse, folks, you certainly can. And the Hardy Boys are living proof. But I can't think of a team right off the top of my head that, just reaches out and grabs me in terms of tag team wrestling that I'd like to see come back that night.
Do we know the status of FTR? Because we haven't saw them in a little while.
I think they're under contract for another couple of years in AEW. A big AEW, somebody showing up from there like an FTR would be pretty amazing. I happen to think, think about the Dudleys. Not that they would actually challenge for the belts or anything, but with it being in Philly, wouldn't you love for it to be an ECW tag team? Just blow the roof off.
It would have to be the Dudleys. It couldn't just be an ECW tag team, and it would have to be the Dudleys. And they got to win the belts.
Right. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
but
the Hardys did.
Well, you got to think A&E put out the rivalries episode. It's today, I think. It was the rivalries episode, the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Christian and Edge talking about the ladder match. So, right. I mean, I'm just saying it's all timing wise. You're getting people nostalgic about it. You're a week and a half out until it's all going to go down and in Philly.
There's also, it could be the Hardys.
Could be both.
Never say, well, no, we know that someone is going into that spot next week. But the question is, that other spot, it could be the Hardys. You never know.
Sure.
Wasn't Matt Hardy just at a WWE event?
He sure was. He was in the crowd at Raw. Just
at Raleigh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Past Raw. So if I am believing that the mystery tag team is going to be the tag team that wins this thing. If not, Who do you think takes this? Matt Mullins.
Man, WrestleMania. I don't know. I mean, I want to see the New Day get it. Just, I don't know. Just one more time. I mean, I would like to give it to if the Dudleys come out in Philly, give it to the Dudleys. Man, people go batshit and then let them lose on Raw.
Sure.
Like that's the way to go.
Stephen P, give it to me. What are we talking about?
I could see a team like DIY going over. Obviously, Finn and Damian have to lose these so that Damian can cash in, which may happen that night depending on what happens in other title matches.
Right.
But I could see a team like DIY getting a shot right now. So many of those other teams have already been there. Unless there's a groundswell in the next 2 weeks for this awesome truth stuff to continue longer and to have more legs than I think that it's got. Ron Killings is my age. He's 52, 53 years old, and he's still out there. Looks like $1 million. He's over, and I couldn't be happier for a guy that the three of us used to watch at the Beckley Armory.
Absolutely, and my pick is definitely the Dudleys if they're coming. But if the Dudleys are not coming, then give it to Awesome Truth, because that is what I would like as well. Now let's go into this next match. We're talking about AJ Styles versus LA Knight, and this is kind of like the battle to settle the score of who really was the most important member of TNA. From what I can see here, because I don't know, did you spend much time watching Eli Drake in TNA at the time when he was the world champ?
I did because of you.
Oh yeah. Okay. How about you, Mr. New?
No, I didn't watch it when Eli Drake was the champ. I wasn't really turned on to Eli Drake until NWA came back around, and Cornette's just so high on this guy. He really is. And so I've never gone back and watched this TNA stuff, but man, is LA Knight over right now. I mean, just organically over with the fans. So AJ's run, and one of you guys may have put this in the group chat. Has AJ been in WWE longer than he was in TNA now? Anyway, AJ's had a tremendous WWE run. He was able to hold on to his gimmick, hold on to his look, never had to sacrifice any of that kind of stuff. It almost went completely the opposite for LA Knight with the model gimmick and all of that kind of stuff. But thankfully, he's really been able to show what he's made of. And I think this match is going to blow the doors off. And I think there's a segment of the universe that hasn't seen these guys or don't really know, particularly LA Knight, what two guys wrestling one another. That they've seen AJ, and they've seen AJ in some good matches, but him wrestling a guy like LA Knight, and I think AJ puts him over. I think this is LA Knight's WrestleMania moment. I think it's going to be a really, really special match and going to open a lot of eyes.
So AJ is bigger than he's ever been right now. I know a lot of people are noticing that he looks gigantic in comparison to any time that we've ever seen AJ in history. Do you think that's going to play a part in slowing AJ down, or are we going to see the same AJ we've always seen?
I think we see the same way. Bigger. I think what AJ has geared himself up for is one last good run. And I think that he knew that in order to get that one last good run, just look what happened with Punk. Punk was in good shape, and AJ got injured, put him on the shelf for a long period of time. I think that was AJ's way of signaling, this is how I have to be for one last real good run in WWE.
Yeah. So you're giving that match to LA Knight. All right, Matt.
I'm doing the same, but I love AJ. I love AJ in the WWE. He was with TNA for 12 years, and he's been in the WWE for 8 years. So I do think LA Knight's going over because we're going to see a real LA Knight push to the top. But I think AJ's going to meet him again. Maybe it's a big setup. Next year you're seeing AJ and LA part two.
You know, and I'm on the same page there. I'm a huge AJ Styles fan, always have been, but I think this is LA Knight's time. And I think he's going to get it at WrestleMania. So let's go to the next match. Jimmy Uso, Jay Uso, brother versus brother. I love these kind of matches. I love this type of gimmick. Bret Hart, Owen Hart. You know, it takes me right back to there. This is interesting, and it's funny. I always saw this coming. However, I always thought Jimmy Uso was going to be the most over brother, and that Jimmy Uso was the Shawn Michaels of this team, and Marty Jannetty was Jay. But then Jimmy Uso and all of his DUIs led to Jay being the man. And right now, I don't think that Jimmy Uso has a snowball's chance in hell of walking out of WrestleMania beating his brother Jay. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm with Jay all the way. Matt Mullins, what do you see happening, brother versus brother?
I think it's the same exact outcome you said, except Rikishi comes out. You get you get the Rikishi pop. Don't do this, sons. But I don't see. I don't see.
Is he already in the Hall of Fame?
Yes,
he is.
Yes, he is in the Hall of Fame.
You know, I would not be shocked if next week we see maybe Rikishi becoming like a special enforcer or a guest referee or something in this.
Something. They're going to put him in there.
They should. Steve New, what's going to happen? Bloodline implodes.
I think the only thing that I want, because I'm so tired of not necessarily the bloodline, but kind of, or all the interferences. I don't give a care who goes over. Just let him go over clean. I don't care if Jimmy wins. I don't care if Jay wins. As long as I don't see Solo and that tampon hairdo interfere, then I'm all right with it.
Okay, well, you got to pick somebody. Who's going over, Steve?
I don't care. I think Jay will probably go over. I just hope that it's clean. If Jay goes over, it will be clean. If Jimmy goes over, I'd be all right with it if it's clean. I think it's going to be Jay. I never thought I'd say that. I always thought Jimmy would be the one. I don't think it has anything to do with the DUIs because it didn't affect, tag team championships or the length of the last tag team championship that they had. So
no, but it did affect the fact that Jimmy wasn't there and Roman had to feud with Jay, and it would have been Jimmy if Jimmy would have been there.
Sure.
I would.
What if Huff Manley comes out and it's the Battle of the Yeet?
Hey, that's a settled issue, Matt Mullins.
Yeah, I know. Good job.
All right, so we go into our next match. You're looking at Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul versus Randy Orton for the United States Championship. I have my own thoughts on this, and I think I'll finish with them. Matt Mullins, where do you think this is going in a three-way type event for the United States title?
I think that although I would love to see Randy Orton go over because I'm big on Randy for the first time in my entire life. I've hated him because he's so slow in the ring, but I'm going Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
Yeah, they're just gonna make the crowd hate him more, and you've got you got the whole Tyson and Paul thing happening, and I just think that'll all get somehow interweaved in our beloved wrestling world.
Stephen P. New, do you feel the same way that Matt Mullins feels?
I sure do, and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are two guys who can lose to Logan Paul, and it doesn't hurt them any. That's great booking when you've got a guy as despisable as Logan Paul, and make no mistake about it, he's despicable. You can have a couple of guys like Kevin Owens and like Randy Orton lose to him, it doesn't take anything off of those guys. It doesn't hurt those guys a bit. They come back out on Raw a night or two after, and they're just fine. They are still who they are, and I think that they'll be just fine. If I had my druthers, I'd probably say Kevin Owens, but I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I agree with Matt.
Well, plus, they can do all the work in the match, and
absolutely,
they can do all the work and make him look like $1 million, and then Logan's on top.
We are all on the same exact page, even though I didn't start with what I thought, but I wanted to see where you guys were going to go. But that is definitely the way that I think as well. They've got two names like Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. These are former world heavyweight champions, and Logan Paul is going to get a victory over both of them because of each other. And everybody's gonna come out looking good. It's a great way to set Logan Paul up for another victory and to continue holding that United States title and bringing attention to the brand. All right, let's go into the next match. The Intercontinental Championship is actually important for the first time in a very long time. And I think a lot of people have claimed this before, that they made the Intercontinental title mean something again. But I can only think of two people who did it. And that would be Miz and now Gunther. And Gunther has really turned the Intercontinental title into something that's almost the same as the World Heavyweight Championship. And Sami Zayn gets that shot. Now, the first thing I want to ask is, do you think that it was correct picking Sami Zayn to be the one to face Gunther in that situation? And we saw the match on Raw, the scramble. Was Sami Zayn the right pick, Steve?
I believe so. I believe that this championship is going to be Sami's payoff from the bloodline.
Okay. All right. So then you're also making your prediction that Sami's going to beat Gunther.
Yeah, I think Sami goes over because you have to start getting Gunther in the world heavyweight title picture. And you get the belt off of him. Is now the longest reigning IC champ. Thank God it's no longer honky. And he's brought back prestige. There's this whole, I love this stuff. Even, you can't tell in Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, you can't beat Gunther. You just can't. Adding an extra layer to this, but I think what's really going on here is I think this is going to be Sami's reward for the great work that he did with the bloodline.
Matt Mullins, how do you feel that this is going to go for Sami Zayn?
Well, before Steve's explanation, I would have said, no, Sami doesn't have a chance in hell. But doing some wrestling math, I do see that our good friend Gunther needs to be in the world heavyweight. I just don't know. I think that they just fucked up with Sami when he was red hot, and I feel like that he's cooled off so much. I'm giving it to Gunther.
You're giving it to Gunther. Well, yeah. I'm on the same page as you. I feel like Gunther is going to win this because you're right that he does have to drop the Intercontinental title to be involved in the world title picture. But do we want Gunther in the world title picture right now? That's the question. And I don't think WWE does, because if Seth is actually injured and he's dropping the belt to Drew McIntyre, then Drew McIntyre has spent the last 4 or 5 months convincing us that he is a complete asshole that nobody wants to like. So Gunther cannot be a face. Imperium doesn't work as a face group. I really hope they don't push Gunther into the world title picture until they have a solid face for him to go up against.
I mean, wouldn't LA Knight make more sense to take that over? Like somebody that's completely red hot?
Well, I mean, yes, but that's not who's facing Seth.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm saying maybe that's what they're waiting on is that scenario.
Right. So Gunther wins, and Gunther keeps the Intercontinental Championship, and maybe, just maybe, Chad Gable gets involved and joins Imperium. You never know.
Well, or Gunther drops the belt at Mania, and LA Knight beats Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, and then you have Gunther chasing LA Knight to Mania next year, or something in between if you want to set up that AJ LA Knight rematch for Mania for the World Heavyweight Champion. But the fact of the matter is, whether LA Knight's got it or Gunther, they call that the Workhorse Championship. There's a reason why, guys, and I don't have the information handy. Gunther has defended that belt a lot. It's not like he's been at the house, wrestling 4 times a year. That young man has been out there working his butt off, and kudos to him for that number of title defenses in the length of time that he's had that belt.
91 title defenses.
There you go.
One. So you're with Sami Zayn. You are calling Gunther.
Hey,
I myself am saying Gunther as well.
Has the Money in the Bank ever been cashed in for the Intercontinental?
I don't think so.
That'd be some shit, wouldn't it?
Who would?
I know, but I mean, in that situation, like, it would be some shit.
Didn't Austin Theory cash it in for the U.S. title and fail? I think so.
But never for the Intercontinental. That would be something, though.
It would be something. So the next match that we're going to talk about here, a lot of people called this the second-rate world title, and the WWE is booking it as such. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. I honestly don't think anyone cares about this match. I believe that they were not prepared, which really, in my opinion, this should be Seth Rollins versus The Rock. 100% should be Seth Rollins versus The Rock. But we're looking at Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. And, I mean, I think that we all know that Seth is dropping this title to Drew McIntyre. Hopefully, we're wrong. And that's not going to happen. I would love to see Seth walk out as the champion, but I believe Drew's got it here. Stephen P. New, where does this match go?
I think Seth's hurt. I think he needs some time to heal. And so that's why I think you're going to see Drew McIntyre go over. Now, the question is, you were just talking about a good face champion for Gunther to chase or to go after. How soon after Drew McIntyre wins the belt does CM Punk beat him?
Yes, absolutely. That is 100% the truth. We're going to see CM Punk take that belt away, and then CM Punk take
that belt off of him.
Which means Gunther needs a little bit more time with the IC title. He'll drop it at SummerSlam to someone, maybe Chad Gable. Fingers crossed. So you believe Drew McIntyre taking this match? Matt Mullins.
Yes.
I say Drew, and then, oh, baby, Heath comes out. 3MB reunion. That's right. That's my only hope. That's my biggest hope, is that we get a 3MB reunion that we all didn't know how much we wanted, except for me. That's all I want. Jinder comes out, play air guitar. No, Drew's got to win.
Yeah. I believe Drew's going to win too, and maybe that's where Damian cashes in. We'll see. I don't know. I think that they keep pushing the fact that Damian has 100 days to use it, basically saying this doesn't have to happen at WrestleMania. Don't expect it to happen at WrestleMania because, damn it, we don't even know what we're going to do yet.
Right.
I think that they have no clue what they're going to do with Damian Priest as the Money in the Bank guy. So next up, we're talking about Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship. I am going to go ahead and tell you what I think. I think Becky Lynch is going home with Seth. I think they're going to spend some much-needed time with this baby, and this is just another stepping stone for Rhea to place herself in this dominant, no-one-can-beat-me role just in time for Charlotte to come back. That's what we're looking at, and I believe Rhea Ripley takes this one. Stephen P. New, well, what do you think?
I agree. For all the reasons that you just said. Becky doesn't have anything to prove to anybody at this point. She's elite of elite of elite. And so for that reason, though, I think Rhea's still on the climb. And I think Rhea needs to get to that level. And I think her going over Becky at, and I don't know whether they're calling these co-main events or whatever for each night, just looking at the placement on the poster or whatever else. But it's going to be high on the card. And so for that reason, I just think it's an important match for WrestleMania weekend. This is going to elevate Rhea, absolutely.
Matt Mullins, your thoughts on this match?
I have to say that it's a whole different conversation talking about the Mount Rushmore of each of our for women wrestling, but Rhea Ripley has become my favorite female wrestler of all time, and I don't see her losing for a very long time. I think Mommy's got it with Dirty Dom. It's captivating. I think you're going to see Jade Cargill come into the play, but not right now. And there's no way that she's losing. So I'm Rhea all the way.
Well, I agree. I think Rhea's definitely going to win it, and she is very high on my list too. I mean, she's no Jordan Grace, but she's getting there, and she's getting there fast. So now let's talk about our other female match. We've got Io Sky versus Bayley, and I'll tell you what I think. There's no way Bayley's not walking out as the champion. Io Sky has been a poor champion, I do believe, and maybe some people disagree with me, and I'm sure they'll tell me about it in the comments. But Io Sky has not done anything for me as the world champion, and I think Bayley is going to be great. And I think the feud that's going to take place between Damage Control and Bayley as the world champion will be much more entertaining than what we're seeing with Io Sky. Stephen P. New, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that this is Bayley's reward for bringing those two young ladies along with her, mentoring them, and all of that kind of thing. But I think this is where Bayley gets paid back, gets rewarded for what she's done for the last couple of years. She hasn't had to, since COVID, really inject herself into the title picture. And, now she's got a chance to do that. And I could see Bayley holding the belt for a little while as well. I don't see this being even a 3 or 6 month run for Bayley. I see this as being perhaps keep it on her for a year. You've got a Damage Control. You've got lots of challengers even after Damage Control. That could challenge Bayley for that belt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matt Mullins, your thoughts on this matchup?
Man, we haven't disagreed yet, I don't believe. I
don't think so either. We're all on the same page about all these matches.
Yeah, Bayley's the truth. You're going to see a lot of Bayley time in the future. As far as all that, this title's concerned, I think that Dakota Kai turning on Bayley. There's this thing, though, that they flip too much, like with women's wrestling, especially WWE. They can't make up their mind if they're heel face, and I think that we've determined that the people want to like Bayley now, even though she's hilarious with Ding Dong, and I think we're going to see Bayley come out ahead. I don't know. She's going to hold on to it.
No doubt. She definitely will take her place back as the top performer. And, then maybe by the time Survivor Series comes along, we'll see Rhea Ripley and Bayley go at it. We'll see. Next up, your second day, this will be your first day main event, first day of WrestleMania main event. You've got Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. And, something that you got a guy who is taking some time off because he's hurt. We're going to put him in 2 high-profile matches in this one weekend. So, there's a good chance Seth Rollins might even make it to night 2. I mean, possibly. You never know. And the real question, who's going to win that match? That's up in the air. The real question is, what day will Rock turn on Roman Reigns? Will that be night 1 or night 2? Because night 1 here, we're in a tag team match, and the winners decide the stipulations for the main event on night 2. So where do you think this is going, Matt Mullins?
All right, Seth gets hurt. First match. They announce Cody has a teammate, but they won't announce it until the match. MJF. I don't know. I want to see MJF in. I just don't know where his place would be, but it would make sense that him and Cody are buddies. And I don't like Seth in that tag team match at all. I think that you've got so much talent that it's not being used, and it just didn't make sense to me to put Seth there. So I would love it if it was somebody else. And then Cody has to go over so that it's just Cody and Roman the next day, but then Roman's beating Cody. I'm a prequel before we get there. That's just what I'm saying. So.
I'm thinking the bloodline is removed, and we're going to see one way or the other, because I've heard the rumors about MJF. The rumors are a lot different than the way you just described. The rumors are that MJF cost Cody the belt. And if that happens, that will set up exactly what you need to finish the story at next year's WrestleMania and keep Cody busy all throughout the year. I think that would be a great thing. I also heard the rumor that Brock Lesnar is getting involved in this main event, which could or could not happen. That's up in the air. And then there's the thought that The Rock is going to cost Cody and continue to stay with the bloodline. Then there's the thought that The Rock's going to cost Roman the belt. I don't think that Roman getting the belt costed is a thing, because we've went so far and we're so close to September 11th when Hulk Hogan's record will be beat. I do not think there is any chance they're going to end this reign as champion before that happens. So my thought on the tag team match is we're going to see Cody get a victory over Roman Reigns in that match. And it's going to be The Rock's fault, but it's not going to look like The Rock did it on purpose. And then night 2.
Roman beats Cody.
Roman has to beat Cody. I don't know how it happens, but it's got to happen. And I hope it happens with MJF. That would be awesome. Stephen P. New, your thoughts?
Wouldn't it be amazing if both Rollins and Rock turned? That Rollins
A double turn.
A double turn. That Rollins assists Roman in some way, and The Rock ends up having to come to Cody's aid so that the bloodline gets removed from night 2.
That would be interesting. A double turn would be very interesting.
That's what I'm hoping for. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I'm hoping that through the course of this, because I just don't trust Seth Rollins.
Right.
I just don't trust Seth Rollins to have Cody's back. I think that Seth is still smarting from having lost to Cody. What's he lost to him? 2 or 3 times now since Cody's returned. And I think that's what you may see. And then I think that The Rock helps Cody, turns on the bloodline. The bloodline's not present on night 2. And then I really hope that MJF shows up at WrestleMania. It's interesting to me, his merch has been taken off the AEW website.
Yep.
You can't buy MJF merch.
He's not even in the alumni section. He's gone.
Right.
But also, you have to think that if MJF was coming back to AEW, he would probably do all that stuff before he did it. Just so it'd be a shocker that he did show up. So you never know with MJF.
Yeah,
you never know. But you know that's his goal. I mean, he said it on podcasts. Like, his goal is to be in the biggest company in the world. So,
right.
I mean,
well, and also I was thinking about this. If I'm MJF and I'm the most important person that's at this company, because Okada, Ospreay, they're amazing. Not saying they aren't. They're not over like MJF in AEW. Nobody knows who they are yet. And it's just like Omega. Omega has built his name in the United States, not nearly what he built his name outside of the United States. And Will Ospreay and Okada could do the exact same thing. MJF is more over than Kenny Omega. MJF is more over than anybody there, period. So if you're coming up and you're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to re-sign MJF. Well, we just signed Sasha Banks for $25 million for 5 years. I think MJF would want more, right? And then there's a good chance that Tony said, no, I'm not going to give you that. And then MJF says, okay, bidding war of 2024. I would rather go to WWE for less money than you paid Sasha Banks, but I'll be damned if I'm signing to AEW if I'm not making more than Sasha Banks. I think he's going to run into that a lot.
Yeah.
Since that happened, and since he gave her $25 million for 5 years, plus I'm sure merchandising rights, this is not going to be pretty for Tony Khan going forward. Everybody that he signs is going to value themselves higher than Sasha Banks. Everybody's going to.
Yeah,
so that might be why we're going to see MJF at WrestleMania. That's I
hope it.
And
happens.
if he didn't pay her that, he better be showing every other guy in the company that contract. Hey, look, don't believe those internet rumors. Meltzer's got a brain tumor, So look, here's what it is. That's what I'm paying her. So
I'm paying her $300,000. Leave me alone.
Right. I mean, I'll pay you that whatever I'm paying her.
I mean, imagine the promos with MJF, The Rock, Cody, and LA Knight in the ring together. It's like they can just pass the stick back and forth, and you are purely entertained.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So now we're both. I guess we're all on the same page again. I believe that Cody is going to get a victory on night 1. Night 2, Roman Reigns keeps the belt. Is that where both of you are as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I'd love to see Roman drop the belt, but I think they want him to eclipse Hogan's record. And so it wouldn't surprise me for Roman to have it until Mania of next year.
And Hogan, you got to think, like, Hogan is getting crazier, which seems wild to think some of the crazy shit that he said. But in every interview that he keeps doing, I was just listening to Corny, and he was on the Religious Network, and he's talking about how he was set up to be the next John Wayne. And he's just like talking. I mean, the lies are getting bigger. Like they don't want Hogan to have that for sure. I think that he's solidifying that they don't want him to hold that anymore. So,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So the more crazy shit I see with Hogan, I'm like, oh yeah, Roman is keeping that thing.
Yeah, because if the N word didn't get you, then the religious fanaticism and the lies about being the next John Wayne. I mean, he just acts like nobody was around, and knows this stuff. I mean, dude, you weren't going to be the next John Wayne. You were freaking Thunder Lips in Rocky 3. Okay. Yeah. You weren't a Green Beret. You weren't going to be a Green Beret. You weren't in the top 20 action stars of the 80s, nor were you going to be in the top 20 action stars. I can sit here and off the top of my head, because I was a teenager then, name you 20 action stars that would have gotten a role before Hulk Hogan got offered a role.
Man,
yeah, and don't get it twisted though. Like I'm a Hulkamaniac with
sure
Hulk in the WWF, but as far as Hulk's like is the movie star and him going on Theo Vaughn and talking about that Make-A-Wish kid where the timing, he was completely making up times and dates of places. He wasn't even in the WWF at that time. It's wild. It's kind of hilarious as well.
Sad is what it is.
Yeah, it's just he's just mashing all history up as he's the leader of it. Like that time I was the president of the United States.
Y'all remember, right? Anyway, Hulk Hogan is definitely making it for sure that we are going to see Roman Reigns win at WrestleMania, and I believe that we're all on the same page there. Now, the question of will we see MJF is way up in the air, but we're all fingers crossed. Put your results of how you think WrestleMania is going to go in the comments, and we will review them for the final. Once it's over, we're going to come back and review WrestleMania, and we will talk about who was right, who was wrong, and where we are now and where we're going. Make sure you click subscribe. Make sure you click the bell. And Steve New, you've got something to say, and I want you to say
Yes. Matt Mullins, you're going to Mania, right? You're going to. All right. There will be a nice House of Kayfabe presence, Brian Resner, at WrestleMania because Steve Barker and I and Matt Mullins, this will be my third WrestleMania. I love Philadelphia. It's probably my favorite big city. And I love WrestleMania weekend. And I just wanted to say, Lord's will, we are going to try to do the Hotel of Kayfabe on WrestleMania weekend.
it's exciting.
Where we can come back after the show and come back and give an almost in real time breakdown of what's going on. I wish all of our House of Kayfabe brothers were making this trek to Philadelphia, but one of these days we'll find us a good pay-per-view. We'll find us a good event where we can all head there. Guys, it's the best time of the year. There's two magical times in sports. That's in the fall, in October, when it's the World Series and football season and college football, and all of that is going on. And it's right now, mid-March, March Madness, the Masters, and, of course, WrestleMania season. There's nothing quite as great as it. I know that you guys have been to Manias too.
This is my first one. This is my first one ever going.
Yes.
Are you going to the Hall of Fame?
I think so. It's right after SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get tickets and do that. But man, it's 2 weeks from tonight, Molly. We will be right there at the link watching live, and I'm so excited. I need this break from work. I need this very badly.
Well, absolutely, and I would totally be going with you, but one, I cannot take a break from work right now, and two, I am kind of protesting because I'm pissed off that we do not see more of an ECW presence in this Hall of Fame right now.
But you don't know what's going to happen. They could all be there.
I'm hoping for the greatest things ever. I'm hoping that they really show ECW what ECW deserves, but
what you got against Thunderbolt Patterson, Brian Resner?
I have nothing against Thunderbolt Patterson, but this is neither the time nor the place. Shane Douglas should be going into that Hall of Fame, and it's bullshit that he isn't. But
Who's inducting Paul? Who do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know who would. I mean, all in all, the best person to induct Paul would be Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is not going to be able to do that. So who's the next best guy? I mean,
I think Steve Austin.
Steve Austin?
I think Stone Cold Steve Austin should induct Paul Heyman because he was in WCW with him, not at the beginning, not when Paulie Dangerously first came there, but, you got to have a Dangerous Alliance connection and that kind of stuff. And timing wise, I just think Stone Cold makes the most sense.
I bet you they do CM Punk.
They may.
That would include him in stuff, but yeah. I would like to see a whole panel of ECW originals because they're all gonna be there. They're all in Philly for WrestleCon. It would make beautiful sense. I would love to see Francine up there, and I don't think that Shane Douglas would even say yes, but I would love to see Shane there and Raven and Tommy Dreamer.
Well, Francine told us at WrestleCade a couple years ago that the only way she'd ever want to go in is as part of an ECW group. And I've heard lots of ECW guys say that they would all like to go in as a group. And as I said in our group chat, I think an ECW wing of the WWE Hall of Fame is overdue.
That means something coming from you, Steve, because you were a hater.
Yeah, I
Don't lie.
despised ECW in real time. Yeah, I did.
And it was such a magical thing for me and Mr. Matt Mullins, and I really wish that ECW had a bigger presence at WrestleMania. But nevertheless, my protest will not keep me from watching the event of Kings, and we will see what happens. And we've just pretty much laid out what we think, and you can check us on it after WrestleMania. Make sure you click subscribe, make sure you tell your friends, make sure you share this with everyone that you can. It's us, for Matt Mullins and Stephen P. New. I'm Brian Resner. See us here on the House of Kayfabe.